Hey guys, so it's me, Nicolette Mashile, and today I want to talk a little bit about traveling and money. How to be a little bit more financially efficient, financially fit, financially savvy, financially clever, and wallet-wise while you are traveling or before even you actually start traveling. Because for a lot of us, traveling is a great experience, but can quickly turn out into becoming a nightmare when you are either on the trip, because it does start to catch up with you on the trip, or number two, when you come back and you switch on your phone, on your own network, and all those bank SMSs start coming in, and they're coming in, and they're coming in thick, and they're coming in fast, right? And you start getting a little bit confused. Yeah, the reason why I wanted to do this video is because a couple of years ago, back in 2015, I decided that I was going to go to New York, and I thought, yes, see, I am financially ready to go to New York. Oh my goodness, what a nightmare. Ended up spending close to 200,000 Rand on that trip, and it was really not planned. It was something I really came back, and as much as I was happy to have been in New York, I was quite down because of the amount of money that I actually had spent. So I decided that next time I actually go on a trip, I'm going to plan. So that is step number one. A lot of us don't actually plan. We kind of have an idea of where we want to go to. So we know the location, we know the things that are there, but we don't actually plan the trip thoroughly and financially so that it becomes a financially efficient trip where you are not going to be stressing. The first thing you need to plan is, when are you going on holiday? So we all are going to go to Bali so that we can all swing on that big swing, but we all go to Bali at the wrong times, right? We all want to go to Bali when everybody else is going to Bali, which is a big mistake. Yes, you want to try and fit in going while it is the summer season in that country, but at the same time, you need to either catch it at the beginning or at the end, or when it's still maybe spring going into summer, or autumn, or before autumn actually kicks in. That way you will kind of save, because what they do is they've got what is called vacation surge prices. So even the guys that are hotel owners, restaurants, they know when the tourists actually come into town. Now, obviously, there are some cities and some countries where those things don't actually apply, and throughout the year, literally something like Manhattan, throughout the year, you're going to find tourists. But I stand to correct that, because that's the advice that I was given. But I found that I went in 3 different times to New York, and I actually experienced it a whole lot more differently than I did that time. So that's the first thing you've got to do. You actually need to plan for your holiday, guys. You cannot just decide, because I'm going here and I just need to book a flight and then I'm going to make it. No, stop that. Plan your actual vacation. What you want to do was that you've got to plan and pay things or your activities in advance. It really helps you, because you kind of have a better understanding of how much it is that you're spending, and it's something to note down. The problem is that it's very difficult to keep within budget when you are already in the country and you are excited and everything seems like a dream and you want to do everything. So it's best to actually pre-book and prepay some of the things that you want to do. Let's first start off with you booking flights, right? So, as I said, you need to plan, you need to know where you're going to stay, how long you're going for. That is important. Then find out if there are any other additional costs for you to be able to get there. Things like visas, you need to make sure you've got those. And in other countries, you need to get the yellow fever injection, I think, if you're traveling up Africa. So let's put that aside. What about the flights? So for instance, I wanted to go to New York in the last weekend, or I went to New York in the last weekend. And our friend Richmond, it was his birthday, so we were going to New York for his birthday, but also to go and see some banks, you know, because I want to bring financial education to South Africa and I need them to fund me. Anyway, so he told us like 3 months ago. So I actually had done the whole booking thing 3 months ago. But of course, your friend here forgot to pay, right? I forgot to pay, and it was sitting at around about 14,000 Rand when I did the booking. People always say you must try and book as much as possible in advance. That for me didn't really work out. I'm still here to test the theory. I booked in 3 months in advance, and the tickets were costing me 14,000 Rand. Then what I did is I went back to my computer 2 days before, not even 2 days, a day before, I think 2 days before, let's make it 2 days because I can't really remember. And what I did is I cleared my cookies and my history. And then I typed in Fly SAA, and I was able to book those flights for 10,000 Rand. That's 4,000 Rand difference. So for me, bargain, great one, right? And then the other thing that I think that, again, also yet to test, but I kind of tested it in June, I went to Malta on a trip and we were connecting. So we had a bit of a layover at Frankfurt Airport. And what I realized is that when you've got a layover, in as much as those flights are probably cheaper, it does cost you a little bit more. Let me tell you why. Because airports outside of Africa are actually malls. Okay, they are malls. You're going to end up wanting to buy things. And it's such a dangerous and actually a trap to do that to yourself, especially if your layover is long. Don't do that, because what you're gonna do is when you land, you're gonna want to eat. You're gonna want Wi-Fi because you're sitting there waiting for your next flight. Wi-Fi in some airports, 30 minutes might be free, but the rest of it you've gotta pay a little voucher. And food, obviously, you're gonna want to eat. And airport food is not as cheap as it would be outside of the airport, obviously. And then you're gonna want to shop all of a sudden. So for me, layovers are very dangerous. And if you are like me and you know yourself, rather book a direct flight. Yes, it is longer, it feels longer, it might be a little bit more expensive. But if you actually quantify how much more expensive, it's the same price that you end up paying at the layover, at the times in the airport for layover. Not my portion. I am not doing that. So I would suggest that you book a direct flight. Maybe it's just because I'm not a fan of layovers, right? And then the second thing that you've got to do is when you're booking a hotel, you need to actually check what the actual price is, because a lot of hotels overseas are loaded with costs that you might not even realize until you're standing in front of the hotel concierge or whoever, or the check-in lady or check-in guy, and all of a sudden it's like tourism levy, this levy, that levy, this levy, that levy, taxes, that one, and you're just like, what? And all of a sudden this thing moves from being $600 for 2 nights to being like $800 for 2 nights. So it's really important that you actually check what it is that you are actually signing up for when you are doing the hotel booking, right? Also, for some hotels, if you go directly on their site, it is more expensive than if you go through things like bookings.com or Trivago. What is it called? Trivago. Whatever you heard it called, Trivago. That one. So it might be a little bit cheaper to go via their sites, but you need to make sure then that you've got the confirmation letter. Because you don't want to arrive there like we did when we arrived in Mombasa in Kenya, and we were like, we booked through bookings.com, and they were like, no, we don't have your reservation, ma'am. So make sure that you actually get the reservation number, get the booking number, get the agent that has authorized this thing to actually send you some sort of notification. The other thing that I think you need to really, really be careful of doing is spending too much money on food. Food can become really expensive in these different countries, especially if you're someone like me who doesn't like street food. I don't enjoy street food. I don't care which country it's from. I'm not going to try street food out because I've got a very, very weak stomach. And I'm not trying to be sick and looking for public toilets. By the way, there are no public toilets in Manhattan. We spent days running around and hours running around trying to find public toilets. There are unless you're going to an establishment, so you don't want to have a runny stomach because of street food, right? No, not a good idea. So I suggest that you book a hotel that comes with breakfast. Look for a package. It generally is a little bit more cheaper. And then the second thing that you can potentially do is you can skip lunch, guys. If you've had breakfast, obviously you're on holiday, you're not waking up like at wee hours in the morning. So if you're having breakfast around about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you don't need to really have lunch. You can just go straight into dinner or an early dinner, whatever, or maybe a snack during the day. So you don't have to go and look for lunch, because really food becomes really extremely expensive when you are traveling, right? The other thing that I think you should definitely look into is using a world currency card. So basically what a world currency card is the card that you can get the different currencies on. So let's say, for instance, as I said, you're traveling maybe to the States and you want to turn your money into dollars. It's easier to stay in budget if you do it while you are in South Africa. So you just go to your bank. I know that FNB's got one, Absa's got one, Standard Bank has one. I think it's called Lyft, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check now. And basically what you do is you load your card with South African money. They'll convert it with a rate that they'll give you there and then. And Bob's your uncle, your money is already converted and you are now ready to travel. Because the number one rule to traveling, especially to a country that has a far stronger currency like ours, especially countries like the United States of America, the UK, anywhere where they've got a very stronger currency, I'm telling you right now, the number one rule is not to convert. Don't lie to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Love yourself. Don't be self-hating. Do not convert. But at the same time that we say do not convert, do not forget that their money will seem like smaller denominations when you are buying. Let me give you an example. You will walk into a shop and you will think, it's just $30, because in your head, you're like, it's just 30 Rand. It's not. It's $30 multiplied by 14 or whatever the rate is at that point. And it's easy to get duped because you are in the cab, and when you put in when you say pay with card, it will say something like add tip. And then you are like, I'll just give him a tip of $5. It's 5 times 14. It might even be more expensive than a trip here in South Africa, a normal trip. So don't do that to yourself. I always say be very, very wary. And for me, that 10% thing in America, it does not work, my friends. That 10% thing is for people that have dollars, eh? It's not for us with our little rands, because you will end up spending so much money just on tips. If you calculate how much money you actually spend on giving tips, you will die. That takes me to the next thing. Try and find the public transportation. Yellow cabs, not public transportation, not the way we know public transportation. So when I talk about public transportation, go and take the metro rail or whatever it's called, the train. It's hot down there, but you know what? It's hot, but at least I still have my money in my pocket, all right? But it's very efficient. Their bus system is very efficient. I'm now talking obviously about the States. I know apparently it gets even better in the Asian countries. So rather use their public transportation or walk. We walked from 5th Avenue to Meatpacking, guys, this weekend, and I thought I was gonna die. It felt like I had walked from Johannesburg to Pretoria. But the thing is, it's good for your figure, it's good for your legs. By the time you get to wherever you're going, that first drink is going to taste like heaven. So rather just walk it out, and you will walk a lot. So the other thing you wanna do is to make sure that you pack comfortable shoes so that you don't get to a country and all of a sudden you want to now buy new shoes, slops or whatever. That's the other thing that I do very badly. I never pack correctly, right? So because I don't pack correctly, I end up being in a country where there's like a beach and now I want to swim, and all of a sudden I gotta buy a bikini and we're already at the beach, so now I gotta buy a bikini from the stalls at the beach, and you know how they will surge their prices. So pack properly. I would actually suggest that you sit down and you draw up an itinerary so that you know what to expect each and every single day, so that you can pack correctly for those things. You don't want to get to a place where you want to now, it's cold because you didn't check the weather, and now you've got to buy yourself a jersey because I'm not jersey. You don't have a jersey. Now you got to buy a goddamn jersey. I mean, really, it makes zero sense, right? Let's start them from the top. When you do book your flights, rather maybe try and, I don't know, this again, as I said, needs to be tested. Book like maybe a day or two in advance. It does work. Sometimes it doesn't work, but you've got to clean your browser's cookies and you've got to clean your history. Because remember, computers are very clever. So if you've been on a site before, it will just pick up from where you were last time. So it remembers whatever it is that you were doing. I don't know how they do it, but that's what they do. So do that, number one. Number two, I would suggest that you book a direct flight, because layovers are very dangerous for your pocket. All that idling time, remember what he said? Idle money is bored money is gone money. So now add an idle person, again over and above an idle person, idle money, bored money, gone money. And then I would say the third thing, get a world currency card, top it up while you're here with the budget that you want to spend, and make sure that you drop an itinerary so that you can actually plan your activities. You know what to wear, you pack the right things, because you don't want to end up having to buy things because they are going to be expensive in other countries. And then the second thing about planning an itinerary is so that you can pre-book and plan and pay for your activities while you are here, so that you don't feel like you are overexerting yourself financially when you are there. Another thing you need to do is to make sure that you do not convert. It is the most dangerous thing that you can ever do to yourself. Let me give you an example of converting. When we were coming back now, I thought, geez, I need to wrap my bag because I don't know what's going to happen in South Africa. Whereas in South Africa, if you wrap your bag, it's 90 Rand. In America, we wrapped 2 bags and they cost us an equivalent of 430 Rand. Now that's a lot of money, my friend. That's like, what? A lot of money. That's more than double what we would have paid in South Africa for 2 bags. So again, do not convert. But at the same time, when you're not going to convert, do not forget that their denominations will be they will be much lower than ours. For instance, you buy a salad for, let's say you buy a salad at $50. If you buy a salad at $50 currently with the exchange rate at 14, 50 times 14, you're paying 700 Rand. That's probably upside down. You're paying 700 Rand for a green salad. I mean, really, what the fuck? Sorry for swearing. I apologize. I know some of you guys hate my profanity. So yeah, it doesn't make sense. So make sure that you keep in mind that the lower denominations are multiplied by the exchange rate. That is also going to be quite important. Use efficient public transport or walk. Just walk, okay? Booking hotel, the booking agencies like bookings.com, Trivago, try and use them. They probably are a little bit cheaper, but at the same time, remember that you need to make sure that you've got your authorization and you've got your confirmation of booking and you print it out so that when you get to the hotel, that's the first thing you give them. There's nothing worse than getting there and they say they don't have you on the system. And also, if you are going to book directly from the hotel site, make sure you read, because they do have a lot of loadings. They'll tell you it's excluding levy, tourism levy, hotel taxes, carbon taxes, water taxes, being pretty taxes. There's just a lot of taxes, okay? So be careful of those taxes because it can change your rate so quickly that you will stand there looking like a clown, right? And then also, while you're using public transport, plan where you want to go, because for instance, you're going to Lower Manhattan, the things that you want to see in Lower Manhattan, and then all of a sudden you find yourself needing to go to Soho, and now you've got to travel to Soho, and then all of a sudden you want to go to Meatpacking. So depending on the city that you are going to, make sure that you plan your visits correctly so that they are in sequence, so that you move from one area to the next area, so you're not moving south, west, east, north, all around, because that will cost you in terms of transport, especially if you do not feel like walking, because sometimes you will be walking things like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kilometers. Oh, Wi-Fi. Guys, in the first world countries, Wi-Fi won't be too much of a struggle. Look, it was a struggle a couple of times, but what I really enjoyed about it is that not having Wi-Fi constantly meant I was off Instagram, I was off Twitter, I was off social media, and I got to actually enjoy the country. So it's not always a train smash, but there are times maybe you want to update your family about where you are, your whereabouts, you're still okay. Maybe sometimes you're getting a very important email or WhatsApps, so you do want to have Wi-Fi. In the first world countries, it's great because they've got Wi-Fi spots in a lot of the areas, but in other countries where it's not always first world cities or countries, you will find that it's kind of like South Africa. If you do not have your own Wi-Fi and your own data, it will be kind of a struggle. So I would suggest that you do get a SIM card when you get to the airport. You get yourself a SIM card and you loaded a little bit of data. Remember, your WhatsApp number is not going to change. You will still be able to access internet. It's just that people will not be able to call you. Roaming is very expensive, guys. I don't want to lie to you. I don't think there's anyone who can tell you anything different from that. Roaming is expensive, and remember, when you're roaming, if somebody calls you, you also get charged. So I would stay away from that crap. Roaming for me makes absolutely no sense. But of course, if you're a business person and someone else is paying for your roaming costs, why not? If you factored them in, why not? At the end of the day, it is about being money efficient when you're traveling, but if you have budgeted for all these things, hey man, do you do best. Mwah.